Hey guys, welcome to Whompin Part II, brought to you by Agaden Reach, my second video on how to make filthy whomps with the least amount of bullcrap. Here's the sound we're going for today. So if you watched my last video, you'll notice the sound is a lot more saturated with effects, and a little bit more of a colorful sound than the last one. So, kind of like a lot of DJs use a sound a lot like this. So let's open up a fresh massive. Alright, let's get started. Turn the first oscillator and set it to silver. Change spectrum to negative to positive and drop the pitch to -12 like usual. Now the W2 position knob we're going to drop down to just above a quarter of the way up, but later if you want a more metallic, slightly thinner sound, right about here is a good spot. But for the sound that I'm wanting to show you, there is good. Now I'll turn on the second oscillator. I'm going to change this to grown 1. I'm going to change spectrum to negative. And also drop this to -12. And keep those knobs right where they are. Now, our main sound is down, but to add edge to our sound, we're going to turn on this third oscillator. Keep this to the square to saw 1 in spectrum, but drop the pitch to -24. Now, to mellow the sound out, we're going to bring the W2 position down to halfway and bring down the amp volume to about in between halfway and 3/4 of the way up, so it's more of a garnish. But definitely a difference going on there. Alright, now we turn the modulation on, set the phase to oscillator 1, turn the phase up to about in between halfway and 3/4 of the way up right there, and set the position to oscillator 2, and crank the position knob pretty much all the way up. Now if you want that thinner, twippier sound, you can keep the pitch to where it is, but if you want that deeper sound, like I do, you can drop it to -24. Big difference. So I'm going to change this to metallic. I'm going to color down to just below 3/4 of the way up, and the amp knob just below a quarter of the way up. Now to start beefing up the sound, turn on the feedback amp and turn it about to the same settings we had for the last one. Now it's starting to get pretty thick and beefy. Now to have the grime start setting in, turn on the first insert, set it to sine shaper. Turn the dry wet knob up to just below 3/4 of the way up, and keep the drive knob right to where it is. Now for effects, to get a large full sound, we're going to set the dimension expander and just put these a little bit below halfway. Keep an eye on your master knob. When it starts to get really loud later, you're going to want to turn this down so it's not getting up in that red zone there. Now for the effect that's going to be a big factor on our sound, we're going to set chorus ensemble. Bring these first two knobs to, I have them just below, or these first three knobs just below a quarter of the way up, and knock the depth down just a little bit below halfway. Now we got a pretty big sound going on here, which is good. Now to set this EQ, which is purely optional, but I like to have it because it definitely brings out the sound. I have the high shelf up just a little above halfway, frequency up nearly all the way, and the boost and low shelf also up just above halfway. Really bringing out that sound. Now to start the whomping, we're going to go to filter 1, set it to low pass 4, turn the cutoff knob just below halfway, it's good, and the resonance usually For this sound, I like to keep it just above a quarter of the way, but a quarter to halfway, around there, you can mess around with your sound. Go to the 5th LFO, these main whomp forms, and feed the 5th LFO into the cutoff knob, grab that and crank it all the way up. Now for the last step, that's going to really give us that grimy boost that we want. We're going to crank this up to 10. And as you can see, I went to the voicing file and crank this up to 10. Here we go. Now you see that red up there? Don't want that. Turn the master down. That's pretty much it. So, it's up to you to make music. Thanks for watching.